Hello and welcome to Smaulgld. In case you missed it, top gold and silver stories for the weekend of December 3rd, 2016. Why the stock market may finally correct and QE4 won't happen. Now, I have been saying that people have been talking about a collapse in the stock market, has to happen, inevitable, is sustainable. I've been saying that it's not inevitable and that it is sustainable, and without going into too much detail, on the basis that the markets are totally controlled, totally rigged, and on the same theory that the monopoly bank doesn't run out of money. They can always print more money. They can always boost the stock market higher. Now, that doesn't mean that the economy is doing well. In fact, it creates a distinction between the real economy and the stock market. But I believe that's about to change, and I don't think the stock market is going to collapse because it's unsustainable. I think it's going to collapse, or at least correct, because the equity stock market, broad-based equity stock market under a Trump administration, I believe will be far less important going forward. Now, I think President-elect Donald Trump's administration won't de-emphasize Wall Street. A lot of people are saying, oh, it never happened. Wall Street runs the country. Well, yeah, okay. But remember, Wall Street doesn't care how they make money. They used to make money before they had low interest rates. They used to make money before they had negative interest rates. They used to make money before they had QE. So they don't need necessarily to have the same policies in order to make money. They just need some policy that gives them money. And Donald Trump is bringing Wall Street into his administration, but there's a distinction. I believe that Wall Street will remain important, but for industrial and infrastructure lending. Now, if you know anything about the markets, the bond markets are far bigger than the equity markets. So there's not really an issue with Donald Trump not paying much attention to the stock market. And here's why. The stock market helps people in areas that are his political adversaries. Silicon Valley, California, places that the media elites, the coastal elites, they benefit from higher stock prices. But the heartland of America, the Rust Belt of America, they don't benefit from higher stock prices. So who's benefited? We talk about the FANGs, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google. These are companies that Donald Trump does not like at all. Mainstream media, they'll go away on their own. Silicon Valley is not represented other than David Thiel, who is an outlier, former founder of PayPal in Silicon Valley for supporting Trump. Silicon Valley hates Trump. But if you think about what most of Silicon Valley has produced in the last 20 years, a large number of companies are social media companies that basically, like Twitter, tout a line that is antithetical to Donald Trump. And for the most part, these companies don't make any money. So you have a situation where Silicon Valley is just pumping money into Wall Street on the basis that this is what they're selling, and because interest rates are low and because speculation is high, people buy these companies. But these companies, because they don't produce a profit, are not real. And I believe that Trump's economic focus will be on the U.S. heartland and Rust Belt, where he derives and got his political strength. He won states that he wasn't supposed to win. Pennsylvania, Ohio, one big in Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin. Now, I used to think when I started my podcast, when I started Smaulgld a few years back, that Janet Yellen, and I had done research on her, she was talking about negative interest rates long before you even heard of them. And when she was appointed, I had predicted that she would try to push forward negative interest rates and eventually do QE4. I no longer believe that, because we've seen over 8 years with negative interest rates and buying assets by central banks, all it does is reprice existing assets higher. Makes the rich richer, and the people who own stocks, and where are they? Out west, along the coast and along the East Coast, New York. But it doesn't benefit, it doesn't really create jobs. Even though they say they have this jobs recovery, part-time jobs, they're not the good jobs. And Donald Trump, you can see through his carrier deal, is looking to provide real jobs and keep these types of jobs in the country. So I believe that money, tax incentives, will will go towards raising capital for companies that are either private companies that are going to build industrial plants and provide jobs, or government infrastructure programs. And I believe that that is where the focus is going to be. And as a result of that, the stock market becomes less relevant because over the last 8 years, what's been important is, and Bernanke said this, Fed Chair Bernanke, Fed Chair Yellen, the idea of QE and low interest rates was to create an asset bubble to boost existing asset prices higher. And if you think about that, it's kind of stupid because nothing happens other than you're repricing existing assets higher. Home prices go higher. They're not any better. They're not any worse. They just cost more. Now, if you change the objective of what you're doing and you're trying to use the government and the Federal Reserve and to get a result in the economy, and instead of trying to get housing prices up and get the stock market up, instead you're trying to create jobs, infrastructure projects, and so on, you don't really care that much about the stock market. You care, and in fact, you're already seeing it. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has done better past few weeks than the NASDAQ, because the NASDAQ is full of companies like the FANGs, companies that are speculative. And if it wasn't for them being touted by Wall Street, touted by Silicon Valley, you wouldn't buy them under even the old Warren Buffett theory of cash flow and profitability, because these companies don't have it. So I believe that what you're going to see in the next year or so is a redirection of Wall Street's resources towards issuing bonds. And also, instead of the Fed buying these infrastructure bonds, I think they'll sell them to the public. They'll do derivatives off them. They'll have a ball. Wall Street's not going away. Wall Street will make tons of money, but they'll make it through what they used to make it for. What Wall Street was good for 40, 50, 60 years ago was funding American companies, not turning out garbage companies that don't make any money and then selling them on Wall Street and getting ridiculous price sales ratios and no profitability. They used to fund companies like General Motors. They used to give them the capital so they can create world-class businesses. Now they give them capital to create nonsense. And I think Donald Trump is not unaware of this. If you go back and you look at some of the things he said Janet Yellen should be ashamed of herself. All she's doing is boosting asset prices. So I believe that what's going to happen over the next few years is we're going to see an industrial renaissance, meaning that that's where the focus is going to be. And if the stock market goes down, so what? That's not the pillar of the new economy. The reason the stock market hasn't gone down, and I said wouldn't go down for long, and really hasn't for any particularly long period since 1987, is because the plunge protection team, the president's working group on financial matters, and also the exchange stabilization fund has always been there to boost the stock market up. I think under a Trump administration, he will direct the Secretary of Treasury not to be so concerned about the stock market as the United States has been in the past, and more concerned about making capital available for companies and government to produce large projects. So keep an eye on that. I'm After seeing what he did with the carrier, keeping those jobs in the United States, now he's talking to Ford. It is clear he wants to create jobs, manufacturing jobs, and that has nothing to do with what's been going on Wall Street for the last 8 years. Nothing to do with what's been going on in boosting housing prices. So it'll be an entire redirect of the economy. All right, let's go through what happened during the week. Top stories of the week. Third-party Green candidate for president Jill Stein continues her chaotic effort to recount in 3 states. That doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Top economic stories of the week. India's continued cashless disaster, which we covered last week. Also, I'm recording this just as the results of the Italian referendum are coming out. We'll cover that next week. That's a big deal. But I'm not going to get into that right now because I haven't fully digested the vote is just coming out. Okay, gold and silver. Gold closed last week at $1,177. It was off just a couple of bucks from the week before at $11.84. Silver actually managed a small gain from $16.51 to $16.72. That dropped the gold silver ratio down to about 70 basically 70 to 1. If you're interested in the gold silver ratio I mentioned every week, you can click on the link there. You can go check out the charts. There's a live chart, there's a 1 month, 5 year, 10 year chart. You can check them out. Now, what else do we got? Well, another thing that's been going on, which is crazy, and this is what I'm talking about with the mainstream media. Not only I think the BBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, they have decided that fake news, Russian propaganda have thrown the election to Trump, and now they're using as an example to kill two birds with one stone, as they're saying that this Pizzagate thing that people have come up with is completely incorrect. I saw this chart here that the number of articles with fake news references in the New York Times, it was 101 in 2016, and I think those are all like in the last 3 weeks. So the mainstream media is petrified that people are looking at other forms of media and viewing them credible, and they're basically throwing everything they have at it to say that they're the ones who have real news and everybody else is fake news. Unfortunately for them, there are more readers of what they call fake news. There are more journalists producing what they call fake news, and they've produced some of their own real whoppers in fake news that I won't even get to here. But that's an interesting story we'll have to follow up on. And also, what I'm interested in seeing is who Trump decides to bring on his press corps. Does he need to bring Reuters, AP, CNN, all the media outlets that are against him, MSNBC? Will he bring InfoWars? Will he bring Breitbart instead? There's nothing that says that the Washington Post has to have a place. If their readership is down, the New York Times, their readership is lower than some of these other outlets, why should they be the ones to get to cover the stories when you know they're just going to cover it in a negative way? Here's the pitch. If you're interested in helping Smaulgld out, you can make a small donation to Smaulgld on the site. There's also a link below. I appreciate that. It does help keep the site running, pay for the hosting fees, the website fees, and so on. I don't make any money doing this, just so you know. Okay, let's continue what happened. So during the week, I advise you to check this out, The Dark Side of a Cashless Society. You can click on it. You can be on, if you're on the YouTube channel, you can find it. If you're not on the YouTube channel, it's in the blog post, and it's a 30-minute expose on all the things wrong with a cashless society. Some interesting stories. Hydraulic press crushes 40,000 gold bar. We don't go through them, but I do produce or reproduce the U.S. Mint sales numbers. Very strong for gold and pretty strong for silver the past week. If you're interested in buying silver, that's another way that Smaulgld pays for the site. If you're interested in buying gold or silver, Smaulgld has affiliate arrangements with a number of top bullion dealers. If you buy through them, through the site, through Smaulgld, you click on the links or the banners on the site, I get a small commission. And again, if you're interested in buying, I'm not telling you should buy now or not buy now, but if you've already made up the decision, you're going to buy gold or silver, I'm not going to stop you, but I am going to ask you to buy it through the Smaulgld website. These are good dealers. You can check them out. And there's gold and silver links by bgasnc.com, Gold and Eagle Coins, JM Bullion, Money Metals Exchange. We also have SD Bullion somewhere else on the site. There was a story, CME Group, British Royal Mint launched blockchain gold trading platform. You can check that out. It was a nice looking bronze age gold torque found in Cambridgeshire. These are links you could click on. I try to put together some interesting stories that have interesting pictures. You can check them out. Nazi gold found in Baltic cruise liner. Another interesting story. More sales reports from the U.S. Mint. You can see them. They happen every day. Now, I reported the end of the month the American Gold Eagle, the American Silver Eagle, the Perth Gold Eagle, the Perth Gold sales, the Perth Silver sales, and the American Gold Buffalo sales. And I do a blog post and a short YouTube on each of them. I've reproduced them here. Here is the American Gold Eagle sales. You can see it was the top month of the year. Actually, that number changed from 110 to 129. They put out the following day a upward revision. Economic data this month was it's always tepid. It's nothing very good, nothing that bad. Be interesting to see what AP, Reuters, and Bloomberg say about the economy as once Donald Trump becomes president, because they've been touting it as strong, robust, solid for years under Obama. I wonder if when Trump becomes president, whether they'll still be saying robust, solid, economic, best this since whenever. We'll have to wait and see how they report on the state of the economy under Donald Trump. I would guess they're going to start talking about how it's not doing as well as it was. They won't explicitly say as it was under Obama, but that'll be the general theme. American Silver Eagle sales, another good month, 3 million. You can click on the link. You can check out the podcast. I do a pretty good, I have to say, pretty good analysis of breaking down the numbers from the U.S. Mint, the Perth Mint, the Canadian Mint when they come out. You can check those out, and then there's also opportunities to purchase gold and silver at the bottom of those blog posts and the bottom of this podcast as well, this YouTube. Thief steals bucket of gold in flakes worth 1.6 million. You got to check that out. This guy just walked right up to a Brinks truck that the guy left the back open and took a bucket and just walked away. Now, gold imports in December in India to be cut in half. Now, why? Well, in November, they went ratcheting up because of the war on cash. And people in India decided, okay, if they're going to shut off our cash, we better have something to replace it with. So they started buying gold. But now they don't have any cash because they demonetized it all. So they can't even buy gold because they don't have any cash to buy it. So gold imports are down. Another interesting thing, married women are allowed to keep 500 grams of gold. Unmarried women, 250 grams of gold. Basically what they're saying is, we're not going to confiscate your gold. We're not going to say you can't have it. What we're going to do is say, if you can't prove that you got that gold through legal means and you've paid all your taxes, duties, whatever you're supposed to do, then you're not allowed to have it. So basically, they determine, it's almost like, and if you don't, it's like a wealth tax, and you have to pay. Gold Buffalo coins reached a peak in November of 29,500 since January. January was a bigger month. What this chart shows on the podcast I put together is a new chart. The total gold sales at the U.S. Mint, when you take all gold eagles, 1/10, 1/4, 1/2, and 1 ounce coins, and you add them to the 1 ounce gold buffalo coins, and you see what you get, we have the best year since 2011. It's up to 1.163. Deutsche Bank settled the gold manipulation case for $60 million. A couple of months earlier, we reported that Deutsche Bank settled a silver manipulation case for $38 million. There's still this is a private litigation suit. This isn't the government going after them, of course, and then nothing would have happened. But this is a private litigation suit. They settled, and they're also agreeing to help the plaintiff's attorney go after, I think it's HSBC, Scotia Macauto, all the big bullion banks. We'll see what happens with that. It's a minor victory. And the payrolls weren't very good. A lot of part-time jobs, loss of full-time jobs. And I think we're pretty much done. Yeah, we had the Perth Mint gold sales. I haven't reported on the Perth Mint silver sales. I'll do that tomorrow. The gold sales were strong. They were up over 50,000 ounces for the third month in a row. That doesn't happen very often. You can check out that. And also you can purchase your Australian gold rooster coins and your gold lunar coins through the Smaulgld site. And also I invite you to subscribe to Smaulgld by filling in your email address. It's free, and I will send you important updates when and as they come out. You can follow Smaulgld on gab.ai and also on Facebook, Twitter, and you can please subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much.